Order. Thank you. We'll start with roll call. Brian Casper, chair. I'll go here and I will just go down the list. Danny Loftus-George is muted.
You're muted, Danny.
But
Yeah, hi, yes.
Bob Abriola. Hi, Bob. You're muted also, but I see you.
Here we go. Sorry about that. Nice shirt,
Yep.
bro.
Thanks. My mom made it. Mark Allen.
Here.
Melissa Matuska.
Here.
Ava Jacobs.
Here.
And Stephen Rust.
Here.
Missing Nori Gruden and Naomi Clark. Okay, welcome. Whole new world. Sabrina, you want to pull up the minutes?
Yep. Give me one sec.
I mean, not the minutes, the agenda.
Yes. We'll get to the minutes, but.
Yep. Okay. First and foremost, do we have anyone from the public who wants to chat with us?
We do have somebody here. If you want to speak, I'll allow you to talk, but if you're just here to listen, feel free to just listen in. We'll give them a couple minutes. I think it's *9 if you're on the phone.
Hey Sabrina, it's Nori. I dialed in because it's easier to use.
Oh, Nori's here.
Okay.
Yeah, my Bluetooth
Okay.
headset opposed to the computers.
Got it. All right, so Nori is also here for the roll call.
Perfect. Nori, I'm just gonna leave you on here so you can mute yourself if you want, but you're on here, so.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right, so there's just that one.
Yep, that was it. So we can.
Okay.
move on.
All right. Well, we have to approve minutes. It's not on. Is that on here? Oh, yeah, there it is.
It is.
Member
I just
introductions.
Yeah, I just had introductions first because not everybody knows each other. Some people do, but Danny's new to a lot of you, and I think
Danny's new and Naomi's new too, but she's not here. I guess since Danny doesn't know any of us, should we all run through a little quick?
I would just run down your list again that you did for roll call, and then y'all
Okay.
can introduce yourself, do a little quick short who you are, what
All
you
right.
do. type deal.
Yeah, starting with myself. I am obviously a Norwalk resident. I am a practicing artist. I also own a wallpaper company called Flat Vernacular. I work in public art as well as studio art, gallery art, painting, and am very excited to slide into the role as chair of the new Norwalk Arts and Cultural Commission. Danny, if you'd like to introduce yourself and say a little something.
Oh boy. Hello. I'm Danny Loftus-George. I'm originally from Miami. Happy to be in Norwalk now. I have a background as a Broadway actor and then transitioned to higher education about, oh God, it's going to be 10, 11 years ago. Still dabbling in London and New York. But really, my bread and butter has been revitalizing pre-existing university performing arts departments. Producing, directing, you name it. If it's theater, it's really me. Visual art is not my specialty, Brian, so I'm excited to learn more there. Any finance that I don't know a lot about, but performing arts is really my bag. I've got a 2-year-old. I love Norwalk. I'm excited to bring more arts and culture here and to develop arts and culture here. I'm now president of the Norwalk Conservatory of the Arts. We're a brand new college that's opening on Wall Street. Hopefully you've heard of us. If not, we need some more marketing. So it's a really interesting new program. It's a 2-year associates program, 3 majors: musical theater, television, film, and dance music theater. And we have a few more majors coming to the table, which is exciting. A technical theater major, as well as a straight dance major, is what we're working on now with the Department of Higher Education. Yeah, I think that's a little bit about me.
Excellent. We're glad to have you. And he didn't mention, but Danny is now the vice chair of the commission. Bob Abriola.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome, Danny. Excited to be a part of the new group here. So I'm a Norwalk resident now, I think 10 years. I'm a practicing artist. I have a studio here in Norwalk at the St. Philip's Church there. There's an artist guild, there's a mansion. So we have 13 studios there. I do all different types of art, and I actually do some murals too. But that's not my full-time gig. I actually have a day job. So I have a degree in design and marketing. I manage Bacardi and Heineken, all their marketing execution. So I'm a global account director is basically my title. I hope to retire soon so I can focus full-time on art. I also teach at Norwalk Community College. So I teach design there, usually one class a semester as an adjunct professor. And yeah, that's it. So I have two boys, 28 and 19, the 19-year-olds at the University of Miami.
Thanks, Bob. Mark Allen.
Well, Danny and I actually know each other through business and Factory Underground Studios, which is my full-time job. And I'm also the production manager at the Wall Street Theater. And as you guys know, I'm a passionate arts advocate and consider myself a community builder. And I look forward to working with everybody here.
Thank you, Mark. Melissa Matuska.
Hi, I'm Melissa. I am a stay-at-home mom, and I have a 4-year-old, and I'm also due in February. My background, I used to work at the Quick Center of the Arts. I've also been in education for goodness, over a dozen years, maybe even more. So that's pretty much my background.
Thank you, Melissa. Nori Gruden.
I'm Nori Groot.
I don't think you can hear you, Nori.
me?
Now we can
Can
hear
you
you.
hear me? Okay. And I've been a member of the art commission for years. I'm a big advocate of the arts. I'm getting wicked feedback in these headsets. And I'm looking forward to our new committee, and I have some ideas that I shared with Sabrina for next meeting. But can you also go over the new leadership and how that
Yeah,
occurred? Or
we will. I think Sabrina is going to address that when the new ordinance review and commission purpose. I think we'll probably touch on some of that. Thank you, Nori. Ava Jacob.
Welcome.
Hi, Danny and I also know each other through work, but I'm Ava. I moved to Norwalk officially about 2 years ago. I'm a dancer. I have a BFA in dance, but I'm more heavily involved in the photography scene in Norwalk. Yeah, and I'm excited for this new journey.
And last but certainly not least, Stephen Russ.
Hi, yeah, I'm Steve Rust. My background is stage lighting design. I worked freelance design in the city and around the country for I don't know, about 10 years, 15 years. About 20 years ago, I got into architecture more. I now work for a company, Theater Projects. We're based in South Norwalk, and we renovate and design performing arts centers. One of ours is actually the Wall Street Theater. A few years back, Norwalk resident for about 10 years now.
Thank you, Stephen. And I'll give Naomi her own little introduction because I do happen to know her. Naomi, I think, moved to Norwalk pre-pandemic, maybe about 5 years ago. She is a working artist as well as an educator. She's an abstract painter predominantly, but I know her from the design community. She was part of, and still is part of, a furniture company called Fort Makers in Brooklyn. And She teaches at Greenwich Country Day School. She teaches middle school art. And fun fact, her father is actually an urban planner. So I think she's going to have potentially interesting perspective on some of our public art projects as well. So excellent. Well, thank you, everybody. Okay, next order of business to approve the minutes of our June 6th meeting. Do I have a motion to, has everybody had a chance to review said minutes in the packet or have any additions, corrections?
I read it.
concerns?
I'm good. I'll motion to approve.
I second.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Mark. Going down the roll, Brian Casper, aye. Approved minutes. Danny Loftus-George.
Are these minutes from a prior meeting? Just because I
Oh
don't know
yeah,
much.
sorry.
You would have to
Abstain. You were
abstain.
here, right? Right. Bob Abriola,
Aye.
Mark Allen,
Aye.
Melissa Matuska,
Aye.
Nori Gruden,
Aye.
Ava Jacobs,
Aye.
Stephen Ross.
Aye.
And the ayes carry. Minutes approved. Next item, I think, is Sabrina taking the floor here. If I'm not mistaken.
Yep,
Oh, there we go.
I'll take the floor
All right,
to,
take it away. You might want to zoom in on that a little bit. Sabrina, it's pretty small.
yeah, I'll zoom in a bit so you guys can see.
There we go.
So essentially what had happened was me and Mark Allen, our previous chair, had gone and really wanted to push an arts and culture district in the city of Norwalk, but also predominantly transform the Arts Commission, which was very visual arts related and really just a steward for our public art collection, and really kind of involve the cultural piece a little bit more than we had in the past. As we are well aware on this call, we have a diversity of types of artists, types of art, types of cultural institution representation. And that's kind of what we wanted to do, was not only brand kind of a specific area of the city as an arts and culture district, but have the commission itself focus a lot more on more than just, you know, your traditional kind of art media, which was kind of what we were focused on before. So you'll see the commission's purpose is very similar. The only thing that you'll see is different is that the cultural district language is in there. We are currently in the process of getting the Arts and Cultural District Commission, and this, the Arts and Cultural District itself, the physical geography of that district approved by the state. That'll allow us to get some funding down the line, which is part of the reason why we did this in the first place. As many of you know, we previously were not able to accept sponsorship or host events with any private dollars. The establishment of this district will allow the commission and other people to physically donate to the commission, which is really great. And we didn't have that capability in the past. So it gives us a little bit more power to collect dollars to support the arts in Norwalk, which, as many of you know, we've had, you know, various donations come through, both via, you know, a physical piece of art, but also we've had, you know, calls with folks who just want to donate to the arts in Norwalk, and we had previously no mechanism to do that. So this ordinance not only creates that ability, but it also creates the accounts in which that funding would go to. So the real purpose here is not only to support arts and culture and have the commission kind of be formulated around that, but also be able to accept those funds and be able to program those funds. So once we do get those donations in, the commission will have full control onto what we will use those funds for, whether they be events, commissioning art, any of those things that we've had in the past. Also, we still have all of our accounts that we had before. So we have our, you know, Arts and Public Places program that's not going anywhere. We have the traffic graphic program, again, not going anywhere, but we're going to be a little bit more proactive on that front. And we still have kind of all that funding that we had in any of our capital accounts, which I'll go into a little bit later. But we also have the addition of these new accounts, which is really exciting. Bob, did you have a question on that before I move on?
Yeah, no, I did. I'm not familiar with like what that means from a cash, I guess, from the city versus like a business, like non-for-profit and reporting, and you know, how does that all play in? Because you know, there's non-for-profits out there, and then they still have to do tax statement. Now that we're able to accept funding, I'm not really sure how that works with the IRS and all.
Yeah, so essentially this counts as a additional revenue account for the city of Norwalk. So it'd be the same as kind of what we get from permit revenue or what we get for inspecting fees, anything like that goes into a revenue account. But this revenue account specifically is tied to this geography of this district. So we can't take the money and use it for, you know, installing utility. We can't take the money and use it for, you know, funding the schools. It's really specifically for arts and culture in Norwalk. But from an IRS perspective, the city manages the account as they do all of our other revenue accounts, and they always will. So from your guys' perspective, it's really on the programmatic end. We're on the reporting, and if somebody was interested in like writing it off on their taxes, those types of things, that would all still go through like the city's comptrollers and finance department.
Okay, good. So we'll manage the finances, and then there'll be some kind of a report that goes up to the city, and then that rolls into how they'll report to all that part. Okay, got it.
Exactly. And then if you have anybody who's like, hey, I want to, you know, donate $1,000 to the Arts and Cultural District in Norwalk, we can take in that funding. If it's anything larger, I believe, than $20,000, we'll have to have like a contract in place because it's, you know, a significant amount of money.
Right.
But other than that, that's kind of how it would function.
Are there rules and guidelines on how that money can come in and accepted and forms and all that, like that detail? Is that in the?
Yeah, it's in the bottom part of this, which it says like the $20,000 amount, how it would be approved, and how we accept public art. And we've left it a little bit open because there's various pieces of art. As we know, we had like the dancing girl statue that was in our pipeline for like a year and a half before anything moved on that. So we have a little bit more control on how art should be donated in general, like physical pieces of art. But when it comes to a monetary donation, there's specifically guidelines in here on how that works, which is right here. So
we could raise money if we want to,
Yep.
to. Okay.
Yep, we can. So if we say we go to an event and we have a booth and we're like, hey, we want you to donate to the Norwalk Arts and Cultural Commission, you'll get, you know, a bag and a shirt or whatever that is. We can do that. And also if we wanted to host an event like a Art Speak, for example, where we want to sell tickets, we can accept those funds as well.
Okay, good. That's clear. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Stephen?
Hi. So would the amount of donations over various years, would it in any way affect the allocations from the city, the funding from the city?
No, it should not. I'm hoping that because we're raising funds, we can do more things with it rather than just keep the status quo.
So it's always supplemental then to whatever the funding is.
And again, it's for different things that aren't just commissioning art. Like, yes, we can use it to commission art. That's not a problem. But we can also use it to support events. We can use it to start a grant program for individuals that already throw events. We can kind of run the gamut of what we want to do with it. So when you guys, you know, have a significant amount of money in there, you can say, well, hey, you know, we have $50,000. We'd love to support, you know, local artists. Maybe we do a grant program for X amount of dollars or something like that. It's totally feasible.
Scholarships.
That's great.
Scholarships, right?
Yeah. Excellent. Thanks.
You're welcome. Melissa?
So we have a lot of inventory around Norwalk that's not specifically in an area that I think would be in the defined cultural district area. How will that be managed? Will that have to be moved? Is this something that we'll still be able to have within the city in this general location? And then could we use some of that funding? Like, let's say something does get damaged. Could we use our funds to fix that, even if it's not in the cultural district?
So the funds specifically that we will raise and that go into this revenue account have to be used within the district. But any donation of a physical piece, say if somebody wanted to come in and donate to the beach, for example, or City Hall, we can still accept those. And we still, as the Arts and Cultural Commission, manage the arts for the city, including the Public Arts Collection, which was the same as, you know, the Arts Commission did. So we have the ability to do both. The money thing for collection on this specific kind of revenue account is only for this district specifically. However, we do have a reoccurring capital account that I'll get into because we haven't had a meeting to go over kind of the new money yet, that we have in place to do repairs to other pieces that are outside of the district. It's citywide applicable. So if there's, you know, the piece at the beach, or if some of the pieces in Oyster Trail Park, for example, like need some love, some help, we have some funding to do that. And from my experience thus far, any piece of art that's been defaced or an act of God somehow, you know, ripped the mural tiles off the wall or something like that, our insurance has been covering it, which is great. But we do have that flexibility in a separate capital account to fix, you know, do some maintenance on other pieces outside the district. But the pieces that are outside of the district can stay there. We can still accept art for those districts. We can still commission art for those districts. We just can't use the funding specifically from this revenue account, but all of our capital money and all of our operating money can still be used throughout the city.
There's almost a dual nature to the Arts Commission, overseeing the district as well as the stewards for the public art collection in the city of Norwalk.
So has the Common Council designated the cultural district?
Yes, there is a geography that is attached to this specific district, and it goes all the way north Route 1 over Wall Street. So kind of past Belden Avenue, past the library. It goes to the waters, the other boundary, all the way south to the South Norwalk train station and a couple of those neighborhoods over there. So kind of overlapping with the MLK district, and all the way to MLK on the other side.
Can we get a map of that shows, like, is there like a map that does all that, shows like the area, or no? Is it like really defined by street?
It is. Let me see if I can pull that up really quickly.
So we still govern all of Norwalk from an art standpoint, but any funding we get has to be specifically used in the cultural district.
Correct. So here is the map for you guys. So here's the map. I hope you guys can see that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it covers a majority of our urban core, and it overlaps with like our investment areas and plan areas that we already have in place. So it kind of, you know, overlaps with some other programming, which was intentional. So we have programs in this area that are specifically for businesses. We have programs in this area specific for arts and culture moving forward. So it covers all of this geography, but like I said, what Mark made a great point and said it a lot better than I did. The Arts Commission has a dual purpose. The Arts and Cultural Commission has a dual purpose now, where it has the previous Arts Commission's duties, but also management and oversight of this specific district as well.
Is that up to the post? Like, how far up is that?
Yeah, this is Route 1.
It's Route 1 right there. Okay.
Yep.
Sabrina, is somebody writing grants or looking at grants specifically for the commission?
So we have accepted grants in the past. I've been doing them as staff. We had one approval for a kind of assistant curator to come on board for larger projects. And we still have that grant funds that we have not spent yet since we're waiting on state approval, which I will get to later as well. But we also submitted for a grant on West Avenue to do the large welcome mural, which I'll also present later. But we're waiting on approval for that. And we did not receive the grant for that, but we did receive a fulfilled capital request to do that project.
Got it. I'm in grant land, obviously working at a 501, and I see so many grants specific to arts that are, very specific to municipality. So I think that's really exciting and a great way to bring in, very serious dollars. Obviously not federal grants because I don't think we have the data yet as a newer commission, but a ton of other grants that might be a good fit.
Yeah, and anything that you guys see or come across that makes sense for us, we can apply as staff. If we don't see it, chances are we have maybe seen it and it just didn't make sense. But if you see anything, just forward it along and we'll take a look.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. So that was the geography. I guess we went into kind of the second part of this.
I just had one question about the
Yeah.
geography. So that still needs to be approved by the state?
Yeah, so we had to do the establishment of the commission first because they want to see the members, they want to see your guys' resumes, all that fun stuff with the application submission. But I should be submitting that by the end of the week. And it's comprehensive, but we got it done. So I'm hoping to hear back from them, by the next meeting. We'll see how quickly they turn that around. I'm not sure how quickly it's turned around in the past.
Yeah, my only worry was that because it was such a large geographic area, one of the things that I understood was that it was meant to be a walkable area. I mean, we are a relatively walkable city, but I was just worried about them, balking and saying, it's too big or something. But I know there's no limit to the number of districts that you can have within a city. So I don't see that.
We've met with them in the past. We've met with the coordinator at the state level and also David Green as well. So they've already seen the geography and kind of are on board with it as far as I can tell. So I don't think we'll have any issues there.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thanks. So membership, as you'll see, kind of all of you are mostly the same from the last commission, but we had a diverse commission last go around of this. We have some additions. We also have ex officio members, which we did not have in the past. We had Friends of the Arts Commission, which were a little bit different. But these ex officio members can be non-residents and they can be representative of something within the district themselves. So we have Duvion Montoya from the Norwalk Art Space that's going to be joining us. And then we also have a local illustrator writer that's joining us as well. Lindsay, I believe her name is. So we'll have her as well as an ex officio member, and they can participate in the meetings just as any one of the voting members would, but they cannot vote. So they can participate on committees, they can participate with projects, they just can't vote since they are not residents, and we're just keeping that true with all of our kind of commissions that we have here in Norwalk. You'll see that we have, representation from a bunch of different kind of groups of arts, but also folks who are living in the district, folks who have businesses in the district. So we have kind of that mix of folks, which is required by the state legislation. You guys will serve 3-year staggered terms. So as we get moving and those expirations come up, I'll let you guys know. You'll be able to say yay or nay if you want to stay on or not, and we would reappoint you. And then we have the chair and vice chair, who the selection process was essentially a staff recommendation from myself, the Economic and Community Development, I call her chair, but chief, and the mayor's chief of staff, as well as the mayor. They reviewed resumes and then they appointed and gave the title to both Danny and Brian. Those can change every 2 years, but they cannot do more than 2 consecutive terms. So we would reappoint them. And then once those 2 consecutive terms have ended, there will be a new chair and vice chair moving forward. And that's really just to diversify kind of leadership as we move forward. But also in the past, we had voted as the commission on who would be a chair, a vice chair, any kind of representative of the commission in any way, shape, or form. The only reason these are now appointed is because we have a significant amount of funding in place. And whenever we have a revenue account, we need to have kind of an arbiter of that when it comes to signing contracts, things of that nature. So that was part of it that went into it as well. Again, kind of the same responsibilities as in the past. The staff to your commission will be handling a lot of the monetary kind of reporting, as Bob mentioned, and really the role of the chair and the vice chair just to run the meetings, make sure everything's running well, but all members of the commission have the same influence as kind of the vice chair and the chair will have. So if you guys have a project you want to bring forward, if you guys have something that you saw on the street that you want to do here or anything like that, that you think the commission should be kind of going towards or working towards, you all have that same capability. You just have to, you can tell the chair or vice chair and they can tell me, or you can just tell me directly and I'll put it on the agenda. But me and Brian meet before every meeting to go over the agenda so that we can make sure we're all on the same page. Danny, you had a question?
Yeah, a couple things. One, is there a conflict of interest policy in place?
There is a conflict of interest policy in place. It's only for monetary means.
Yep.
So if we had a grant program, for example, and your business was an applicant, you would not be able to do that. It would be direct monetary benefit. However, if there is a program where your business or an organization you're affiliated with wants to participate, for example, there's an event that we're holding that, you're one of the, main participants in, anything that we would vote on regarding that, or any discussions we would have regarding that, you would have to abstain and not be part of those discussions. So if there is an event that we're planning and the Norwalk Conservatory of the Arts wants to do it, that means you would not be able to vote on that item nor have conversations on that item unless it was just clearly like presenting an idea. That's totally fine. But anything regarding any voting, anything regarding, I should get this much money for this type of deal, as long as, not that kind of conflict of interest.
So if we decide we want to paint every sidewalk in the Arts and Culture District for Art Appreciation Day, and we want, Brian to do it because we think he's brilliant, is it possible, that I don't even know if you do that type of work, Brian, but it would then would essentially I step up as vice chair because he'd have to recuse himself for it then?
Correct. Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. So any discussion or any monetary transaction for that would have to, you couldn't be a part of it. Brian couldn't be a part of it. And
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
You kind of lose out on opportunities by being a part of this if you're active in this Norwalk area. So kind of be mindful of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot that we help promote the arts, but we can't be, especially now if there's money involved, right? Sabrina, definitely conflict.
Yeah, it's just that's why it doesn't bar you, but it makes it a little bit icky, which is why people have to recuse themselves.
Well, we get to spread the arts. How lucky are we? So it's a win. My other quick question for you is, Sabrina, are we covered by any insurance policies as board member or commission members?
So the commission members are not covered by insurance, but anything that we do or any artwork that we install, we're covered by our city insurance, like our generalized policy. But there shouldn't be a circumstance where a commission member is signing anything or a commission member is, writing a check for something or anything like that that would put you at risk. It should all go through a staff person. So it should go through me. And if there's anything that needs to be signed, and even if it does need to be signed by the chair, it has to go through a council committee and through council. So there's, coverage there on that end.
Got it. So if we approve some type of mural that someone is offended by or wants to sue for whatever reason, we can't be sued individually.
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
They would have to, because essentially the process for a mural, I know you haven't been on the commission, so you don't.
Sorry.
But essentially we vet applicants, we vet their artwork, we work with them to make sure it's something we want as a commission. And then we have to have a contract in place with that artist. So I asked staff after the Arts and Cultural Commission's recommendation would then take that to a Common Council committee and then take that through the Common Council so that the mayor can execute the contract.
Awesome, thank you.
So it's really the mayor who signs the contract, so he's the final word anyway, so.
Exactly. So the risk is not on you guys. It's as a city, you're a part of the city. You're an embodiment of the city as a volunteer group for the city, essentially.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Just a question on the district.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of like the Musical Theater of Connecticut or Silver Mine Art Center or the Rowayton. Would they be able to be like satellite cultural districts, or no, there has to be in that geographic area?
Yeah, unfortunately not. We asked the same question because we have kind of hot spots of arts and culture throughout the city. it's not available to be used. So we have to have a specific geography, which is why we tried to make it capture as much as possible, but also it won't meet the criteria for the walkability piece of it either, which they consider. So unfortunately, it takes it out of that from the criteria standpoint as well. All
Thank
right,
you.
no problem. I think I already touched on the donation piece of it, and the rest of this is really establishing the account and how you would accept those funds. So if it's anything under 20,000, we can just accept it. Anything over 20,000, we'll have to go to the Common Council and have a contract in place, which is, it is what it is. I hope we get, hundreds of thousands of dollars, but we'll do the process internally as staff if that needs to happen. And then it also talks about the expenditures, which essentially says you can't overspend on the account. You have to spend it within the district, and you can't have direct financial benefit, essentially. So we can't, pay you $1 million of the account money, but you can work on projects within the district and with that funding, as long as you recuse yourself. So that is
The
that.
auditing that happens, Sabrina, like to
Yep.
make sure, like how does that, do we get audited by the city here, or?
Nope. So since you're a revenue account of the city, it would be included in our citywide audit. It would be
got
under the same, it'll be under the same thing as any of our other revenue accounts. And when we have an expenditure, we always have a receipt, we always have a contract, we always have something in place that shows where we spent the money. And then I would submit that in a voucher form or a purchase order form to our finance department, and then they kind of handle all the technical stuff.
Got it, thanks.
Yep, and then anything that we spend that's more reoccurring. I know we have the call for artists thing that we use, it's reoccurring. Anything that we want to do like that, I can put it on my city purchasing card. And that'll always be managed on the city side. But if there's ever a time where, there's an event and somebody needs to go and run and buy soda or something, you could submit that to us internally and we'll repay you, essentially. Just so you're aware. I think that's it for me, unless anybody has any questions.
Excellent.
I'll
Yeah,
bring.
all this is so exciting. I mean, the fact that we can start accepting outside funds is just a total game changer. Cool. Okay, next on the agenda, can you pull it up again? Click on the thing.
Sure can. There you go.
There's the pointing the subcommittee stuff. Yeah. So, all right. So in the past, obviously we've had different subcommittees, them being infrastructure, communications, budget, and that was it really. So now with, we're basically losing the management of our Instagram account, which, by the way, this should point somewhere, just as a side note. I know it still exists. We should have it sort of say where to go. But basically the reason it being the city is taking over sort of one account for kind of everything that's happening in the city. So anytime we have something going on, we need to be submitting to the city so that they can repost it or share it or put it in wherever they're putting it. So the communications committee is disappearing. The infrastructure committee is becoming arts projects committee. Basically the same thing, it just has a kind of a more all-encompassing name. It's not something like infrastructure, which is very specific. We have the budget committee, obviously, and we are adding the events committee. So the way that, Sabrina and I kind of chatted about this a little bit, and I think one of the best things is to sort of point a lead person for them. And then as different things come up, the sort of members can kind of shift based on the needs of whatever that project or event is. So budget committee obviously isn't changing much. There's not things that change from time to time. And the only change that I'm making there is I'm putting Bob as the lead on that and assisted by Melissa and Nori. The big reason for that being Bob and Melissa, I feel like always have the hard-hitting questions when it comes to the money and always the best ones. And Bob's experience in managing some of the bigger accounts and things like that in his day-to-day life, I think will come in handy. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then the events committee, I'm going to appoint Ava as sort of the point person for this. Ava, as you know, has a background in dance as well as art management. And what the work she does with Space 67 and Juice, I think are going to play well and play nicely, as well as her connection to Wall Street Theater, et cetera. And she's going to be assisted by someone from the city named Anna for sort of running events. And again, like as those events change, she'll look to finding two other people within the commission to sort of help her with whatever is kind of coming up. I met with her and she already has a lot of really great ideas. I'm looking forward to that. And then Arts Project Committee, I'm going to keep myself as the lead, not as a dictatorship, but more just because I've already been handling a lot of the infrastructure committee projects as they've been going on. And that's really the big reason for it. Plus, you know, my professional life has me doing a lot of that kind of work already and making a lot of those connections in that world. So I guess if anyone has any questions, any comments, this isn't, you know, this is just an appointment just like last time. It's not really something we're voting on, but I of course welcome everybody's opinions.
Can I just add to that really quickly?
Yeah.
Just so you guys are aware, you can participate in any of the committee meetings that you would like. We just can't have more than 5 members at any committee meeting. So if the chair or vice chair wants to sit in on anything, 100% you can. If any of the other members want to participate on a committee, maybe they, you know, propose one of the arts projects that we're doing, or maybe they propose one of the events committee, you know, events that we're doing, or specifically we have like a, you know, Broadway type of event, like of course we would want Danny's input and Steven's input. So those will be rotating based on kind of what we're doing, and you can, you know, put as much effort into them as you want or as little as you want, but we just have to be mindful that no more than 5 members can be meeting.
No more than 4.
No more than 4. Yes, sorry. No more than 4 members can be meeting, because that would have a quorum and that would be considered a meeting of the Arts and Cultural Commission, and we'd have to, you know, put a public notice out and all that fun stuff. So just be mindful of that. And if there's anything that you kind of want to be involved in, just let either of us know and we can just make sure that we're being mindful of that.
Anyone have any moral opposition, questions, comments about this? Awesome. I love it. Let me have a silent majority. Okay, so we're gonna just keep motoring along here. New business, everybody's favorite part of the budget review. I'll let Sabrina pull up the budget.
Yes.
And
scroll down to find it.
I guess since Bob is newly appointed, you'll probably be the one speaking to anything here.
Yes, and Bob, I can send you all this stuff in Excel so you can finesse it as you want and have it as you wish. But this is just like what Maritza has been doing historically, so you can, you know, take time to do what you need.
I'm gonna want to do like each month of the year, right? So like a 1 + 11, a 2 + 10, and then each month we can kind of see what changes from month to month. It'll be easier to follow that way.
Yeah, so I'll send you all the Excel sheets that I have of everything, and it'll also have the account numbers on it and all that fun stuff.
Yes,
And then if you have any questions on like what we can use the money for or anything specific like that, I can obviously, you know, help you out on that front, so you're not kind of on a boat by yourself. But
yeah, it would be collectively what we want to do with the money, so I don't see myself, but I want to just make sure from a reporting standpoint, we're all kind of seeing what we need to see, any changes, fluctuations up and down. And then I can certainly propose, but I think we as a group collectively should decide where we want to use the money.
Yeah. So long story short, the good news about this year is that we didn't lose any money, which is amazing. We also took out other contractual services and other operating supplies and just rolled it into business expenses, because that's what we were using them for anyways. And business expenses is a little more flexible when it comes to spending. So we rolled it all in there, which is why that amount's a little bit higher than it was previously. The other professional services line item is $8,000, which we were paying Michelle for our social media out of that. We can choose to pay for something else with that money. It's exactly what it's for. So if you wanted to hire on like an assistant curator for a project that's really large or something like that, anything that you guys, deem necessary that fits in that bucket, we can do. We have $1,000 for advertising. Our $100 for membership dues is for our Cultural Alliance membership for the year. Telesco's $1,800 is what it is. It's kind of like our administrative stuff. And then we also have $1,000 for printing and duplicating. And we've used that in the past to curate kind of the mayor's gallery and things like that. But we have some flexibility there as well. Melissa, you have a question?
I do. When I was asked to be on the budget committee, I now have questions. We used to have a couple things that we did use to earmark for stuff, and I don't think we do anymore. And I just want to confirm. So we used to fund some of NICE Festival as a donation. Do we not do that anymore, or does that just come out of the city somewhere else?
So we do not do that anymore. We do not support any other private events with funding as a rule of thumb, because if we have to do it for one, we have to do it for all.
Okay.
However, that being said, if there is an opportunity where, say for the Sono Arts Festival, the Arts Commission wants to have a booth to educate folks about the Arts and Cultural Commission, what we do, and anything like that, we can support, events in that way. But it cannot be just, here's a check and put our name on something. It's more of we have to proactively be at the event or have a booth at the event or do some sort of, activity with someone rather than just pure sponsorship. However, that does not hold true for the Arts and Cultural Commission funds. If we wanted to create a program specifically that says, we're giving grants up to $1,500 to support events out of that fund, we can certainly do that. But not specifically with this.
Okay. The other one I have is we used to support a program through the library. It was the Poet Laureate, I think.
Yep.
Do we no longer do that? Is that in here still, or?
We have the funding in there to do that. We haven't paid them in the last 2 years, I believe.
That sounds about right.
But we have funding in here to do that. It was in the under other contractual services, but it's rolled into the business expenses account, which we can still use that funding for that if the commission wants to.
Okay. I was just thinking of things that I remember seeing, and I just was curious about how that's handled now. Okay.
Yeah, no, we can totally use the funding for that. If there's like a larger initiative that you guys think up that you want to do, we certainly do have funding through my budget and through kind of the special events budget where we can potentially, pull some funds from that. But for this specifically, it's really for kind of our internal expenses.
Sabrina, our fiscal is June to May?
June 30th is the last day, July 1st is the first day.
Okay, so July 1 through June 30th. Okay, gotcha. And when you have original balance, is that the forecasted full year plan?
Yep, that's how much money we have for the entire year that we got approved.
Okay, so that's the plan. We'll call that the plan, right? The original balance is the plan, and then the balance. Okay, I got it. So yes, send this to me. I'm gonna want to play around with it a little bit.
Yeah, sure. And so just so you know, you're gonna get an Excel sheet that has like a tab for each of these separate accounts.
Yeah.
So you'll see that we just only include the summary sheet for the package, but feel free to do whatever you would.
Yeah, totally. I'm good. Thank you.
Yep. Danny?
Sorry, I'm new, so I feel like I just have tons more questions. Brian mentioned before about an events committee and Ava being the chair, but there's no budget line for events.
So the events will come out of that account that we're raising funds for.
Okay.
It's sort of a brand new thing. So yeah, we're gonna
so we probably
look
won't
for
have
money for that.
we probably won't have any events specifically this year that are not city hosted. But that's not to say that there's not going to be an arts related event that can come through my department, which has a special events budget where we can partner.
And some of what Ava and I talked about too was, maybe starting with sort of a proof of concept 3 events in the winter this year, ones in which we can, use spaces for free or very little, as just sort of, getting the word out more than anything else, and then hoping to kind of build a momentum so that we can then start to ask for money for those things specifically.
I understand. Okay, thank you.
And then if there's an event too that we wanted to host where we could potentially raise funds for our, like say we have like a Art Speak event with like a world renowned artist, we could potentially sell tickets, take that money into that account, and then we can reuse that money for something else. So it really just depends on the money that we raise. But if there's something, like I said, if there's like a big idea that you guys want to do, our special events coordinator is amazing. And she's really flexible and open to every and all ideas, since she's new as well. So we're kind of also at the brainstorming phase. So it makes sense for you guys to obviously be a part of anything kind of arts related that we're going to be doing. For example, we're going to do an event for World Poetry Day. So we're going to have like a slam poetry contest, and hopefully we'll get a few poets on board to participate with that. But there's small things like that that we're already kind of thinking about that overlap directly with you guys. So
I had one more question, Sabrina. So I know you've done this in the past where you have your own separate kind of budget fund and you've been able to move money in and out. So can you talk through that? Like that's acceptable to kind of move money across different accounts in Norwalk? I guess we've done it. So maybe I'm answering my own question, but how does that work? And is that just if we need money, you can give it to us?
It depends. If it's something that aligns with the goals of what the funding that was allocated to the Business Development and Tourism Department kind of aligns with what you guys are doing.
Okay.
So, for example, if you guys wanted to do an event, we have a special events account, so that would count and would be fine. But if you guys wanted to do like installation of 18 murals, like we only have the Arts and Public Places program, so I wouldn't be able to, there's no money that I have that's earmarked for that, so it wouldn't be able to be spent that way.
Okay, so events we can. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, so events we can. We have some arts projects from other funding sources that obviously you guys will manage those. But the funding is not in your budget. It'll be like from a grant that we've received, for example. That's specifically for an arts project that will be looking to the commission to help us execute, where we would have a different funding pot than you might not see, but you'll certainly have a budget number for those specific projects.
Okay.
Will the Norwalk Art Festival and the Sono Art Festival fall under our jurisdiction, or will it stay?
No, those are private events. I mean,
Yeah.
those are private events. They're not put on by the city at all.
Yeah, so those are privately hosted, but like, for example, I'm using some of my funding to have a booth there so that we can educate people about the events that are going on and the arts projects we have. So those are the certain, like we didn't sponsor the Sono Arts Festival, but we're having a booth for an educational purpose, which would be an eligible kind of expense.
We can do better anyway.
We'll have a separate report, I guess, for any monies accepted, right? So we should probably blow that out in detail and all that, right? So that should really be.
Yep, we should have a separate spreadsheet for that specific account that'll have those numbers on it and how much we're taking in, how much we're expending, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Is there a goal that the city has in terms of this Arts and Culture Commission, in terms of like increasing residents or quality of life or tourism? Is there as we start talking about events or things that we can do, obviously as a commission, is there an overarching goal that the city wants us to achieve?
I think at this point in time, it's very quality of life focused.
Okay.
And supporting and uplifting arts and culture in Norwalk in general.
Awesome.
We're very, from other municipalities that I've spoken to, we're very on like the high end of actually investing in art and installing art. Other municipalities are not doing that. So we're kind of on the cusp of being kind of like an arts and cultural city already. So that's kind of what we want to grow and support, but also, you know, as we get significant funds, as we get, you know, these larger kind of events under our belt, I think it only makes sense to have it transform also into like a tourism type of sell for us. But I think right now it's really about that quality of life and uplifting arts and culture as much as we possibly can.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, what Sabrina's saying is really true. I mean, I think even what Mark, I'd say even like 3 years ago, you know, we just funded a near $200,000 mural. I mean, that would have never happened even 2 years ago. So the fact that we see our, you know, Mayor Rilling and, you know, Bob Duff and people like that having these conversations and approving this kind of money is massive. And then, you know, we're sort of just proving that it's valuable and moving arts and culture forward in the city. So sorry, Mark, I jumped in when you had your hand up.
Oh, Mark, we can't hear you.
He's outside, it looks like.
Yeah,
Marco, we can't hear you.
Mark, you're on mute, buddy.
he's not muted. I don't
Oh.
know.
Yeah, we lost it. Maybe your headphones have a microphone when they're inside.
I see him running back.
Yeah. Yep, there they go, the headphones.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
Sorry, I'm in a loud environment. The thing that we had discussed going back a couple of years about doing a citywide public arts inventory, is that something we would still be able to do? Is that something we need to raise money for? Because doesn't really fall under either of our piles as far as events or art projects.
I 100% think that we need to do one. I'm still a big proponent of it. I tried to sell it at our bond rating presentation this year as well, that we should know how much of an asset we have of a public art collection, how much that costs, what our quality of art is, kind of, especially as we're investing in it heavily. So that has been a reoccurring request in the budget. It has yet to be funded, but it will continue to be until we have it. And the new chief of staff is a huge proponent of it as well. So I'm hoping we have the political will this budget season to be able to do it. There will definitely be a separate committee formed for that specific project. It's going to be a huge lift. And it's going to be quite a comprehensive budget ask, because not only do we want them to see what we have, locate where it all is, but we want to know who the artist is, a description about it, a picture of it, how much it's worth, all of these different types of things that we don't really have right now. We have kind of a minuscule version of that when it was done a couple years back. So definitely still in the purview of this commission, but also definitely still a priority.
Copy that. Thank you.
Yep. All right. So I'll move on to the larger funds that we have. So we still have $9,500 in the MLK kind of account, as well as the remaining funds in here to support the Monroe Street mural, which I'll show you guys again, just to give you guys a refresher. We also have the West Avenue kind of large wall that we went over kind of a couple months back, that again, I have the artwork for that so you guys can see it. And that's that larger $150,000 amount. And then we also have the You Are Not Alone murals, which we authorized at the last meeting or the meeting before that, which we have all the money for, which is amazing. So we're just, waiting for the state on this front. But we're making some progress with them on these projects, which I'll get into a little bit later when we go over those. But pretty much all of our funds that we have here should hopefully be expended in this fiscal year. My hope is that because we have such a comprehensive approved amount for the Arts and Public Places program this year, that we can continue that. We had a reoccurring $50,000 ask, but since we got funded the $150,000, as long as we have projects in the pipeline, I'm hopeful that we can get the larger amount moving forward and possibly increase that if we kind of have a comprehensive ask, which is, part of the budget committee and this commission as well, is to say, we would love to do these 1, 2, 3 murals and these 4 sculptures and this, 7 events or something like that. So we can make the ask so that we can get funded in these larger increments than we have in the past. Mark? Okay, sweet. All right, I think we're on to the next.
I just had one question. The art in public places, that was the funding that we had asked from the state, but is that the city gave us that? Is that how we got? Okay, so the city, we were trying to get it from the state, and that can still come through the state, or?
No, we didn't get the grant for
We didn't
that.
get the grant. Okay,
It was a Bloomberg grant. We didn't get the grant, but we had made the ask for the 150, so we could still do the project even if we didn't get it. And if we did get it, great, we'd have $150,000 to play with to do other stuff, but we didn't get it, unfortunately. So we'll still do the project, but
And restructuring the commission allows us access to, some more of those state funds as
Yeah.
well moving forward. This previous one has nothing to do with it. It didn't end up happening, but yeah.
it's amazing. I mean, that's not a small amount of money to
I
get out
know,
of the city.
it
can't
says a
believe
lot,
it.
and it,
Yeah.
points out what Sabrina's already said and the question that Danny brought up, that this shows that there's real interest in it, and it also puts a little more weight on us to really make it happen, to really
Right.
perform. So
Well, we got to
it's all
use it.
good. Yeah,
Yeah, we got to use
absolutely,
it prudently in the right way and
absolutely.
city. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, that's why, this last request was easily attainable because we were spending the money at the time when we made the request. And we're not spending the money now, no fault of our own. But once we do kind of get the money out the door, that's when the new funding will come in. They'll be more inclined to approve larger amounts of money if we're spending it all. So just so you're aware, I know we've talked about this a few times, but the capital accounts, those monies roll over. The operating does not. So anything we do not spend in our operating budget, which was the 14,000 or wherever that was, that goes away every year. So we want to make sure we expend it down to, the penny.
We could move in and out of, we could take the operating costs and move it elsewhere, right? If we want. Or no?
It depends. So the operating account money is tied to a specific line item, which we can transfer between operating accounts up to $5,000. But they still have to be within an operating account kind of expense. But if we wanted to, for example, for the large West Avenue wall mural, we wanted to, hire a curator or hire somebody to oversee kind of volunteers or something like that, we could do that with operating funds.
Is there like a definition of all that stuff so I could at least get more familiar with what?
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah, I'll send you the 180-page document.
No, careful what you wish for, Bob.
You can just control F the
I'd like to be the smartest guy in the room, so I could say, no, we can't do that. And yes, we can take this money and move it over here. I'd like to actually be able to say that. So
No, you can 100% do that. I'll give you what we get for, when we do budgets, and it tells you kind of all of the definitions of what kind of operating accounts we have and how you can spend those funds.
yeah. All right, fair enough. Thanks.
No problem. All right.
Okay, so let's see here. Moving on to the thing that Sabrina's already basically touched on, and we have some pretty good news, making some progress. I'll let her take it away with that.
Yeah, so just so everyone's aware, just a refresher, I know Danny has not seen this as well. So we've had a couple of pipeline projects with the state, and we've kind of been held up with DOT to be able to complete them, but we do have the funding for it. We have artists, we have designs, which is really fantastic. So this is the Monroe Street Bridge, both on the underside of the bridge, and they had a new proposal that has kind of artwork on the top piece. That's going to be a harder sell for us to be able to do that, so we might be sticking with just the walls. And there's a couple.
There was a conversation that these were going to be. Oh, is that actually what you're about to show? Never mind. These are the sort of more updated, right? Oh no.
I think so.
Yeah, we basically left this hanging, just refresh everybody. We left this hanging a little bit because of the state approval, because we were waiting. We didn't want these two artists to start, working on designs and rounds of revisions until, we had kind of a clear picture. So now that, as Sabrina's about to get into, we can, start to revisit these and start to ask for design revisions. So I'm only saying that because I don't want to get bogged down with the what right now,
Yeah.
which
and I
includes the
think-
next one too, by the way.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of group them all together and then have the larger discussion. So we have, this is the West Avenue wall one where the vines are installed right now. Also, we are going to be removing the vines, but we want to reinstall them in a different location or incorporate them somehow. So we need to think a little bit more creatively on that front. But these are just all of the kind of design pieces we've seen at this point for those specific projects. Mark, you have a question?
Yeah, is the cost of moving the vines, is that gonna be on redevelopment?
Yes, redevelopment has funding for that, so it's not our responsibility. Also, we have confirmed that DPW will be removing the shrubbery, greenery stuff and power washing the wall, so that won't be a cost for us or the artists as well. So they have a little bit more funding to play with on their end than we did previously.
Where is this, Sabrina?
This is on West Avenue across from the Norwalk Art Park. It's on the, it's in between the I-95 interchanges as you're transferring from like West Avenue onto MLK almost, like right before the mall.
Okay, I know where it is.
Yeah, so it's like a big welcoming piece, which is really amazing and has some really world-renowned artists on it. So we're excited for that. So a little update, as you all know, we've been waiting for the state to respond to us to say, yes, you can do this, or no, you can't do this. We're having a sit-down meeting with them to elevate all of these pieces for them, since we are now at the point where we have some grant funding that may be expiring if we don't have an approval, which is a problem. So we're elevating all of that, and at the end of the day, we will be getting these done next season. This is not a maybe thing anymore. So we're happy to be progressing these in a way that makes sense. We're also getting a legal opinion from our legal department if the maintenance of this wall, specifically on West Avenue, if the art installation can be counted as maintenance. And in that case, we can do it since we are the arbiters of the maintenance of this wall. So we're hopeful that that will move forward. But the Monroe Street Bridge and the Ely Avenue fencing, which we talked about probably maybe one time in the past, we own the fencing on one side of it, the street facing side, but not the train facing side. So as long as the way the art is installed on the fence is only on the street facing side and not the opposite train facing side, then we can proceed. So we're happy to think about these things a little bit more creatively to be able to get the work done. But we are having a full sit down to elevate the projects with the mayor, as well as the chief of staff and the chief of economic community development with the state, so that hopefully they understand the importance of us actually getting these things done. Because at this point, we've already been through a whole season not able to do these projects, so we will not be doing another season. Yeah. And the Ely Avenue fence, we have talked with Oksana Tanzani, who owns a gallery in South Norwalk, who has come up with an idea of essentially having a covering for the fence on one side that is kind of a mural in a larger extent, and we can have the community kind of paint on and detail the actual people walking in the scenery. She hasn't fully fleshed out this idea entirely yet, and we still have some control over that, but she wants to partner with the Norwalk Art Space and really make it a community-driven project. So we're hopeful to continue that conversation, but we definitely need to kind of figure out how to creatively install on the fence to where it's legal for us to do so. So that's about as far as we got in this regard. This specific project is one of those that's coming from a grant from the state. It's in the, what is it in? It's part of the ARPA funding, so the American Rescue Plan Act funding specifically for this neighborhood to beautify this neighborhood. So this is not our arts and public places money. It is a separate account, and we have $70,000 to be able to execute this one. So we'll talk more on that as we flesh out the ideas and have conversations about what we're looking for. She is very open to meeting with you guys and getting some direction on what we're looking for. She just wants to, be a part of this really great project and involve the community as much as she can. She's had a few proposals that she's brought to us that are very community driven. So we're happy to include her and be able to, work with her to get exactly what we want and something that's really great. So
Will we get a chance to vote on it or?
100, yeah, 100%. The hope is not only that you get to vote on it, but work with her previous to her fully fleshing out the ideas.
She would curate this, I guess she'd be the curator.
Essentially, yes. So she'd do the larger install of like the larger background mural, but she'll be the one that's like working with JVN to make sure, there's students that are painting the people or whatever we end up doing at the end of the day and involving the community in a way that makes sense.
Okay.
Because that's a huge piece of this is that we want the community to help install.
Okay, so community under control, right? So, okay, I got you.
Yeah. And sort of
Exactly.
the idea is that she'll be sort of curating and creating the parameters for this idea.
Yeah.
And, to make it community based, because this is very much, human scale. This is just a 6-8 foot.
Yeah. No, I love the idea of community.
Yeah.
I just, how that goes, right? It
Oh,
can't
no,
be-
totally.
It's not without precedent because we used to
Yeah.
hire outside curators before we started doing it internally in the Arts Commission. So, in this case, it's very similar, except she's volunteering. Is what it sounds
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so that's kind of the update on it. Not that we're, proceeding without approval, but we're, elevating it to a point where they know that we need to get it done and we're gonna do it no matter kind of what we have to do to make that happen, we're gonna do it.
So if Art Space is maybe the community doing it and Duvian's on the committee here, that's not a conflict? That's okay?
Yeah, that's
No,
okay.
because you're not
because
voting.
He's non-voting, he's an ex officio member. And we did that purposely because we think we should be partnering with them more.
Yeah, no, I gotta ask the question, right? It's something
Yeah.
they ask out there. I just want to make sure I'm prepared to answer it, right?
Yeah, so he's ex officio, he's not a resident, so he'll be here to kind of opine on projects and maybe put some expertise or suggest where the art space may make sense in what we're doing or partnering with us, which
Yeah.
was purposeful because we should be partnering with them more. So we
Okay.
want to make sure we're involving them as much as we can, but it doesn't conflict.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's the update on that, a little bit more of an update than we've had the past, few meetings, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as I said to Sabrina when we were chatting, last week, is that this really, I brought up a few meetings ago, kind of creating this system where we basically get these things going to say to the state, look, we're not, we know what we're doing here, let us go. And it seems like this might be the first step to that really happening. As everybody knows, with the exception of Danny, I want every single underpass in the city painted. So this is just the beginning. So I was really excited to get that news from Sabrina. Okay. The last thing within this and sort of the budget stuff and current projects is that You Are Not Alone mural. Annika was here last Friday, met with myself as well as Sabrina and chatted about some, ideas and options. We definitely came back to a point that Mark brought up last meeting, which was doing publicly funded projects on private property, which is something that I want to continue to talk about with whoever we need to talk about to make sure we can do those things. But for this specifically, we clearly can't get those legal things taken care of. So what Annika ended up landing on was choosing one of the schools, specifically between the two high schools, and doing not only a mural on the school, but also an event surrounding it, that maybe there's some smaller things happening at the same time. So she landed on Brian McMahon as kind of one that had sort of the best options. Also, Sabrina brought up the fact that Norwalk High School is probably going to be torn down next year, so we don't want to put up a mural and have it disappear. So they're putting together a fleshier version of everything that I'm kind of giving over, and going to do all the necessary things with the city and common council and the mayor to get things sort of approved and contracts moving and all that, to hopefully be able to present something to us next week sorry, not next week, next month, for us to vote on both the artist and the final piece that will be going up. September, I believe, is Mental Health Awareness Month or something to that effect. So they want to do it in September. They're hoping to do this on the last weekend of September. So hopefully we can really wham bam and they can get all these things taken care of. There's nothing really to vote on, obviously, here today, but hopefully next meeting we will hear from Annika and Sam again, with an artist chosen as well as a proposed design for that. So
How much did we approve, Brian?
sorry,
We voted on funding that. How much was it?
25K. So they're doing this mural on Brian McMahon as well as kind of probably a Saturday event where like the murals sort of being wrapped up, being painted. And then there'll be likely a few other smaller sort of panel murals being done at the same time, an event about, you know, mental health awareness and all these things. And then those smaller murals are going to be sort of repurposed or given to some of the other schools to either go in, you know, principal's offices or guidance counselor's offices or something
That's
like
small.
that. So
That's small. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so that's what that is. So originally the plan was, oh, we'll do 4 small murals on these basically private property. And with the concerns brought up last meeting, we're going to draw that back into something we own that we can actually approve quickly.
Nice.
So Ava, you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick question. I know with the Eli Avenue project, there is a mention of an event, and then with this, there's also probably going to be an event associated. I'm just wondering, can we like accept donations at these events, or could we have like a booth of some sort that where the
Great
money
question.
we could, like ask,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and if, by the way,
Yeah.
and I do want to bring you into the fold of these conversations too, because they now are going to fall from your jurisdiction. I think yes, based on the way, you know, the things are written now, and that hopefully we can use this to raise some more money and fund more projects and events like it. So I hope so.
Also, if
Danny?
we have,
Go ahead.
sorry, just to jump in really
Yeah.
quick. If we have a larger event that we want to host, we can now also have like sponsorship packages for sale. We weren't able to do that before. So if we wanted to like, you know, I'll use the Norwalk Film Festival as a great example because they do that. They have package tiers where people can, you know, buy them. We can do that as well now to accept that as a donation. So we can
Yeah,
do
more
That's
floodgates. Just
Yeah.
Danny, you had your hand up.
Yeah, so I understand the thought is to paint the high school with the mural. Are we getting input from students?
For the mural itself,
Yeah.
no, I don't know what they're talking about. No, this is so you weren't obviously part of these conversations. You're Not Alone murals, simply put, and I'll email you their info. Is a series of murals that I'll say you are not alone in. The idea is to raise awareness about issues surrounding mental health, to spark conversation and to use art as a catalyst for that. They have done over 70 murals worldwide, and they're bringing this to Norwalk with the hope of doing more in the area. And they are doing this one. They are going to choose an artist to present an idea that, you know, that says you are not alone. And then the event itself is the thing that we'll start to bring some of the students into. And that is for them to sort of decide. But in terms of the actual creation of the mural, no.
Okay. I totally understand the You're Not Alone. I think it's a great message, and obviously I understand how the public campaign of it and how big it is. But I think that if we're painting or if we're, you know, commissioning an artist to paint a school with students in it, the students are going to want to have input in it, especially it's their school. You know, there's obviously huge issues with graffiti and already with that age group. I think to then say, hey, we're just gonna do this on your school and that's gonna be that, and not get their input, gives me concern.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, but I think time is probably not on our side for this project, having already basically had the wheels in motion and trying to have this executed by the end of September.
Okay.
They do community-based murals. Like, it's not that they have not done them. In fact, Annika brought up one artist who they've worked with in the past, who she's considering for this, who will interview people about a variety of things, and then use that input to put back into the mural. And I can certainly bring this up to her as well. And you know, or you're welcome to, if you want to start a conversation, I'm happy to get a chain going. But you know, this is falling a little bit on their hands to choose what it is they're doing and to present it to us. And this is certainly something we're talking about, by all means.
Right. Yeah, I understand. I just work with this age group, and I know they're a very opinionated age group, and especially around mental health. And I just want to make sure that we're being inclusive of their space and what they want.
Of course.
Cool.
I mean, they I would say as a group, they are, you know, they are very, very community oriented. They try to do, you know, events around nearly every single project they do. And whether it be something, you know, as simple as just inviting people to come and participate, or having a conversation, having discussions, bringing in experts. And they work at NAMI in the past to really facilitate the right kind of conversations around this. And the one we did in Darien involved the depot, as well as the Darien Community Fund were there too, to be on hand, you know, so it wasn't just like, hey, we're just slapping this thing up. This is part of a longer, bigger process.
And I will say, in addition to that, when we met, we did have a conversation about involving the students in the event in some way, like not so it's just like an unveiling of a mural. It's more like a live painting session where we can talk about mental health, have, you know, things regarding that. So I think that's where kind of Ava can jump in and members of the commission can jump in, but also we can have Anna on my team, the special events coordinator, jump in to make sure we're, you know, curating an event that's not just about the mural, it's more about mental health in a more holistic way and involving the community in a more holistic way.
Yep.
Awesome.
So has that been decided now officially that it's going to be at Brian McMahon, or are you considering any other schools?
I mean, we drove around to a few of them, and I think really when you start to get into, you know, to a topic that is heavy, you start to skew away from younger demographics. Not that it's not important, but I think they basically thought to focus on high school age, and drawing a specific line from the project we did in Darien that really happened because of the suicide loss that they've experienced in the high school communities in Darien. That this starts to draw kind of a thread throughout this whole year of continuing that conversation with the younger population, and that being high school students. And that's what they are choosing. We can of course bring these up next meeting when they propose this, but when we went around to a couple spots, you know, we really focused on Norwalk High School and Brian McMahon because they were the high school age areas. Schools, there are only two. Yeah, that's why.
I remember back before, you know, older days when the Tracy Magnet School had wanted to paint a mural, and they were kind of holding up pending the Arts Commission, you know, writing a public art policy for murals. And, you know, I think that they would definitely be interested in a mural in the future.
Well, it's funny you bring
just
that
so
up
we're not
because
playing favorites with one school versus other schools.
No,
like
not at
the
all.
only thing that would be the only concern, I think, you know, from a fairness point of view.
When I was
Otherwise,
bopping
I'm-
around with Annika last Friday, it was actually great for me to see the backsides of some of these schools that I had never seen before. Because Sabrina brought up the point to me that basically the city owns these properties, and not that we're not going to get their input, but it's a great place for us to start using some of the funds to commission work that maybe aren't quite as heavy for places like that. I mean, I think why not do the back of every school, or the side or whatever of the gymnasium, wherever we can. And then to Danny's point too, we can start to bring in these broader, more community-based projects. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. Cool.
So, yeah.
Thank
you. Yeah. Ava.
I know this doesn't really fall under our like jurisdiction, but when I was in high school, they at my local high school, they had something similar done where they did a mural, and then that week they coupled it with a program called Breaking Down the Walls, where like the whole week we had assemblies about mental health and kind of getting to know each other better on like a personal level. And it was like really helpful and informative as like students. I'm wondering if we can couple with the school in some way and have like,
Yeah.
I don't, this isn't really us, but like have some sort of assembly about mental health and or something in that realm. That would be interesting.
Absolutely. I don't know if time is on our side for this one specifically. They do have, bigger and broader goals to
That's
try to,
very
but I
true.
mean, if they're interested in that, absolutely. And I think Duvian even mentioned to Sabrina that, he'd be happy to roll in the art space in this conversation too, because they deal with a lot of the, high school age population as well. But yeah, they want it to be a bigger, broader thing. It's not just slapping up a yellow and black mural that says you were not alone and then being done with it. So
Maybe
yeah,
there's a
I'm
collaboration
like
with the Department of Health or some
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
entity in the city.
That's what
Absolutely.
I was, something along those lines.
Absolutely. So, but these are all, things that we hope to, if we can make them happen for this, great. If we can't, this is a great catalyst to start these conversations to create a longer term relationship with not only them, but also other groups that want to activate, especially our younger population. I totally agree with you, Eva.
I think our last
yeah.
thing, Ryan, is just that marketing budget that we had
Yeah.
remaining last year. So we already facilitated everything to be able to take this money because we voted on it the last time we had an Arts Commission meeting, but I'm not sure if you all saw the scope. We had a meeting with Brian, Mark, Bob, our communications director, and Todd from DKA to kind of help us program the remaining $5,000 that we had that we wanted to specifically use to build kind of a database of kind of potential locations for murals, do kind of a more holistic community outreach to see where people wanted art, so that we can build like kind of a Rolodex of not only locations that we could potentially help facilitate installations of murals or sculptures or whatever that might be. So Todd's group is willing to kind of help us create that and help us be able to create kind of like a door hanger that they can have distributed for us. But also spread the word kind of on social media and pay for boosting for that too, so that it's getting to a larger audience. So I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention that we'll be, starting the groundwork on that. We'll probably have kind of a subcommittee that's working on that as well with Todd's group at DKA, so that says exactly what we want and making the ask for exactly what we want. So yeah, I just wanted to loop that back so it doesn't fall off the radar.
Great.
And that is it.
Okay. I think what we said basically the old business. I guess these are all the basically old businesses, even though they're kind of new. Anyone else have anything else? New business, old business? Anything I missed? Pretty expensive today.
And I will just add, if there's anything that anybody on the commission wants to talk about, bring up, projects, events, anything that they want. I know me and Nori already spoke about a few things. If there's anything like that you want on the agenda, please let us know. And we'll put it on there so we can have the discussion.
Yeah. And I also want to, try to reach out to everybody, and if we can have a coffee or something. And I want, just get everybody's take on everything and things they're interested in and all that. So, yeah, hit me up or I'll hit you up. Okay.
I had one thing I wanted to add. The traffic boxes, David Shackley's gone, so I don't remember. I think we talked about.
We're taking it over.
We're taking it over? Okay.
Yeah, so Bob, I'm gonna be the sign off for those now. As the department head, so me and Jim Travers will sign off on the contracts. Also, we're tweaking the contract a little bit since I don't really know when it was made or how it was made or who looked at it. So we're just making sure legal takes a look at it. But additionally, Melissa had flagged that one of the boxes got tagged. And it turns out that specific box didn't have the anti-graffiti coating over it. So that box needs to be fixed / repainted holistically so that we can put the coating on. So that'll be something else we can do. But we do have funding for 9 boxes at this point, and I know there was conversation on whether we wanted to increase the amount that the artists are paid and things like that, which I'm happy to present, and I'm happy to change that in the contractual language. So if you guys have any suggestions, feel free to send them my way, and I'll make the proposal to the mayor's office so that they can sign off on it and we can include that moving forward. But the hope is for traffic graphic boxes that will have, you know, a specific grouping of them at one point. Like right now we have enough for 9. We would say, here's the 9 boxes, here's the locations, artists who wants to do them, and what do you want to do, so that we can approve them holistically and then do them more proactively rather than, you know, people approaching us.
And as far as that money, that's like within your like your
We
your
have
cultural
some,
budget or your business development budget or whatever that is.
so we have some funding left over from MLK for it, but we also have money in the MLK grant that we got from the state, as well as ARPA funds for traffic graphic boxes. So we have some flexibility there.
Because I remember when it was David Shockley, did that money come from like DBW or something like that? I don't know where that money came from.
He had some money from Keep Norwalk Beautiful that funded some of it. He also has he had some access to the blight funds, which we can use for some of it too, like the one that was tagged, that's like a perfect candidate for the blight funds. So we have some, like I said, we're working on having an inventory of the boxes in general. So we have all the locations, and then we're going to bring them to Fred, who works with Transportation Parking Mobility and controls the signals, on which boxes are going to be replaced and which ones are permanently kind of there for the future. And also ones that we cannot touch for whatever reason or another. So we'll have an inventory of that. So we'll be able to pick and choose which ones we want to prioritize with the funding moving forward.
Are we going
And
to,
also increase the stipend.
are we going to be able to fix or repaint the ones that really need to be repainted?
Yes, so we have that maintenance funding that we can use for that type of project.
The St. Philip's had a box that was presented last year that was approved. I just was never able to get David Shockley to, Mark, you had the approval as the chair, and that never happened. I don't know what happened, so.
Is it the one
I
with
sent it
the
to David.
Is it the one with the bird on it?
Yeah. So
Yeah, that
I
one,
have-
and then there was that other, the business that originally wanted their logo on it, and then we made them take it off. There was that one too that got approved.
right. Well, we had the bird.
Right,
So-
but I'm saying there's 2. There were 2 outstanding.
Yeah, there's 2. So
Bob, I can get the contract from wherever it is. I'll just go into David Shockley's files and I'll get myself and Jim to sign off on it so you guys can do that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
And is there any thought to put the decommissioned ones anywhere?
No,
I'd
there's,
love to, but no one
If-
wants them.
yeah, it's been an overwhelmingly hard sell to keep those anywhere.
We actually have 2 of them. Louis Estrella got us one that's Duvian's original box, actually, is on Isaac Street.
Melissa, you have her hand up.
I do. I was trying to wrap my head around inventory and stuff and what Sabrina was saying. Would it be feasible for us to buy the supplies to kind of make this cheaper, since we're talking about doing 9 and then I guess 2 more need to be done? I feel like if we buy these supplies to have this, protective coating and that sort of thing, that it might, be better to kind of share the wealth kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The anti-graffiti, the city was doing that.
yeah.
Yeah, so we have some of the supplies already, but I've already had a conversation with the neighborhood improvement team, so which is now essentially just Lewis. But I've had a conversation with him, and I've had a conversation with the folks that are in the Smith Street garage, if we can have some space there to store the supplies, if we get kind of larger amounts of stuff, and they were totally on board with it. So I think that's the direction we're gonna go in, so that when we commission them, it's less cost on the artists and they can just use what we have.
Great.
Awesome.
Okay, well, if there's something else with that or anything else for that matter, do we have a motion to adjourn?
A motion to adjourn.
Melissa
Thank you,
seconds.
Mark Allen and Melissa seconds. Then Melissa's running down the roll. I vote aye to adjourn. Danny Loftus George,
Aye.
Bob Everiola.
Aye.
Thank you, Mark Allen,
Aye.
Melissa Matuska,
Aye.
Nori Gruden,
Aye.
David Jacob,
Aye.
and Stephen Russ.
Aye.
Okay, thanks everybody. Talk to you soon.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Thanks.
Aye.